All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is September 17th. We got a full MLB slate on today. Happy Sunday to everyone out there. Also a football Sunday. If you haven't checked out our football videos, we got a ton on the channel right now. Go do so. But like we always do, guys, we're gonna jump into each and every game on today's slate. I'll give you my lean or leans as we talk about the games, but all of my final plays, if you do want to fade, or I'm actually rolling with myself and you do want to fade me, those plays will be in the pinned comment. Coming off of a 2-2 night, the Braves let us down. The Rangers, which was a statement game for the Fade squad versus the Guppies. Guppies win that one. They actually ended up blowing that one. They were up 1-0, I think, heading into the 8th, if I have that correct, and end up losing that one. And then the Phillies and Dodgers do come through for us. A 2-2 night. Nothing to get down about, but we're definitely not excited about that. Let's go ahead and have a positive night tonight. Before we do that, guys, let me talk to you guys about Outlier, my favorite sports betting research tool out there. If you can understand that green means good, red means bad, well, then you can profit on Outlier. You can get 7 days free with the link in the pinned comment. Go ahead and check it out, guys. I highly do recommend this tool. After the free trial, it's $19.99 a month. I think it could pay for itself in a matter of bets, you know, if you hit something. So go check it out, guys. A really, really, really cool tool. Hit that subscribe button as well. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 1. We're looking at Baltimore taking on Tampa Bay. Weird series so far. Right now, we're looking at Baltimore slightly favored at home with Dean Kramer on the mound. The team's 4-1 in his last 5. He's got a 1.8 ERA over his last 5. And last game was actually a bad game from 4 1/3 pitch with 5 earned runs, letting up 7 hits and 4 walks. So that 1.8 ERA is pretty strong, including that terrible outing. Going up against Zach Lytle here, he's got a 3.2 ERA over his last 5. The team is 2-3 in his last starts. I do think that he obviously has had his ups and downs this season. He hasn't faced Baltimore yet, whereas Kramer has gone up against Tampa Bay. He pitched 6 shutout innings with 4 strikeouts and only pitched like 15 pitches per inning. But I think that there is some value on Tampa Bay today at plus 105, but I doubt it makes it into the final plays. What I'm actually considering for a final play here would be the over 8.5. We've seen, okay, in game number 1, 4-3, right? Kind of a mediocre offensive performance from both these teams. In game number 2, we saw Tampa Bay score 7 runs, but Baltimore only scored 1. And then in game number 3, which was yesterday, Baltimore, bounces back, scores 8 runs. But you know how many points, football brain, how many runs the Tampa Bay Rays scored? 0. So I do think that they're waiting. This is game number 4 in this series here. They finally have an opportunity. Okay, well, maybe both offenses can show up today. And it's not necessarily to knock the pitching. I think the pitching will be good, but this could easily be a 5-4 game and hit that over. So my main lean in this one is going to be the over. I'm negating the fact that, I do actually think both these pitchers are slightly above average, but I think that these offenses, we have seen one go off and the other one stay dormant. And then they flip-flops. I think right now, game number 4, they've seen each other 3 times already in the last couple days, a bunch this season, right? I think that we do end up seeing an over here. All right, Pittsburgh taking on the Yankees. Right now, we do not have a total. We don't have any odds or line or anything like that as well. We don't know who's pitching for Pittsburgh. On the mound for the Yankees is Carlos Rodon. If the Yankees are anywhere in the ballpark of, -1, say -100 or -110 to like -140, I would lean towards the Yankees. I think those odds are fair. I don't know what the total is going to be. Yesterday's total was sitting at 9. They pushed that one. But yeah, I'll take the Yankees in this one, kind of regardless of who's pitching for Pittsburgh. Keep an eye on the pin comment, see if that does ultimately become a final play. Yankees playing good baseball. Have they had the hardest of teams to beat? No, but it's not like the worst teams, and they're clearly dominating the series against Pittsburgh. 7-5 win, 6-3 win. I think they do it again today, but yeah, they've won 6 of their last 7 games, so I'm going to give credit where it's due, whereas Pittsburgh obviously dropped 2 straight here to the Yankees. So I'll lean towards them. If the total's anywhere at like 8.5, I stick away from it. If it's one of those games that's down to 7.5 or 8, which I don't really know why it would be, then I'll probably look at the over. But I could see, 8 to 9 runs being scored in this game, meaning if they put it at 8.5 or 9, probably not going to be taking the over. All right, Toronto taking on the Red Sox. Red Sox just seem to not care anymore. As a Red Sox fan, really lose interest watching them when this type of thing happens. So thank God football season's back. But we have Ryu on the mound for the Blue Jays. He's got a 1.8 ERA in his last 5 here, which has been fairly consistent. He's pitched around 5-6 innings, letting up 2 earned runs or so. But he did have a shutout game with, I think he pitched 5 or 6 innings against Cincinnati within that last 5. So that 1.8 maybe skewed a little bit by that. It's probably right more around a 2.2. But but still fair. Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Sox. He's got a 3 flat ERA over his last 5 here, and he did go to the bullpen, and that's kind of where he's been best this season. Coming back as a starter, not really looking all that great. I'm going to lean towards Toronto here to get the job done against them and sweep them. Tough to do again as a Red Sox fan, but there's nothing really inspiring about this Red Sox team. And then the Red Sox know they have to go from Toronto to, I don't think they play, actually tomorrow I think might be game 1, all the way to Texas and play Texas. So they're just going to get out of here. Could the Red Sox squeak out a random one? Yeah, this is such a volatile team right now. And even Toronto, like prior to walking in and starting to play well against the Red Sox, like they got 4 games swept by Texas. They looked okay against Kansas City, I guess you could say, but you don't even really know what you're getting from Toronto. So this is a really weird sort of last game of the series. It's a getaway day for both teams, as Toronto's actually going to play New York after this series. So I'm also going to look at the under in this spot as well. I probably like that more than I do the Toronto side of things, because you know how hard it is to sweep a team in baseball, never mind a divisional matchup too. It's like this is the type of game the Red Sox would win, right? One where Toronto's like, all right, we already took the series, now let's move on. But regardless, I do like the under. I think that they're going to kind of, not to say cakewalk through this, because obviously there's implications to some degree, but I think that this could be a game in which the offenses aren't totally locked in, and it's like a 5-2 type of a game. 5-3 would even hit the under here. So give me the under in this spot. All right, I know it's a baseball video, but if you guys are football fans, make sure to check out Sleeper. They have a free line right now. Tyreek Hill, they've knocked his receiving yards line down to 0.5 over on Sleeper, and you can get 100% of your first deposit matched if you use my link in the pinned comment. I've been talking about Sleeper in plenty of videos as of late because it literally is my favorite player prop pick'em app right now. Obviously, you have the Prize Picks, the underdogs, all those, but Sleeper is really cool because they don't follow fixed payout structures like those other apps that I mentioned. Each and every selection you make has its own dynamic multiplier, which makes it really, really cool. You can win up to 100 times over there, which is hard to do, obviously, but it's absolutely bonkers. If you don't know what Sleeper is, all you got to do is pick 2 to 8 player props, put them in a slip together, and if you get them right, obviously, the more you put in, the more you get right, the more you get paid out. I love 2-man slips over on Sleeper because obviously on those other apps I mentioned, if you put 2 in there and hit both, it's a 3x no matter what a lot of the times, right? On Sleeper, if you put the right picks in there, you could 4x, you can 5x because it's all dynamically paid out with multipliers. So go check out Sleeper, guys. Again, that link is in the pinned comment. Let's go ahead and get back to the slate. All right, Miami taking on Atlanta. Atlanta loses yesterday. They look like they came back ready to go. I think they tied it up. What was it, 5-5? They tied it up towards the 7th or 8th inning, and then Miami's like, no, we want to win this game, and they win 11-5. And today I'm like sitting here again being like, they're not going to win. They're not going to lose 3 in a row, right? Like they're not going to get swept by Miami, are they? Like I'm leaning towards Atlanta because they're the best team in the league, but Miami's outplaying the hell out of them. So they have Charlie Morton on the mound today. He's actually been good. His most recent start is his worst in his last 5. Other than that, 4 earned run, 9 strikeout game against the Phillies, which they ended up winning. He has a 1.4 ERA over his last 5, actually including that. So good on him. He has 2 shutout games in there against the Mets and the Yankees. Okay, not that great. The offenses aren't killer there, but nonetheless, guys, give me Atlanta here on the money line. Going up against Jesus Luzardo, yes, worries me a little bit, but he's actually started to cool off in terms of his pitching performance. The only thing that really scares me, I guess I would say, leaning Atlanta again, is just they've been abysmal against lefties as of late. Jesus Luzardo throws with this hand. My left hand over here, which didn't feel natural because I am a righty. But nonetheless, guys, that's the one thing that worries me, but I just also can't see Atlanta losing 3 in a row. I'm falling into the trap probably, but you know what? Maybe there's honey in the trap, and I can at least get that before I go. In terms of the total, I saw this and I was like, oh, if this is an 8.5, I'm going to go towards the under because, again, you have Charlie Morton who's been pitching well. Hopefully he minimizes the Miami offense. And then you have Jesus Luzardo, who's a lefty. Braves struggle against lefties. Have the Braves win a close one here, right? Total's all the way at 8 right now. It was 8.5 on FanDuel. I've seen it go back and forth the first couple hours of today's morning. It is still early. So wherever that shakes out, I will say if it's 8, I don't touch it. If it's 8.5, I lean towards the under, and that's crazy to do with the way these two teams have been playing, and honestly, just the Braves in general. But 9-6, 11-5, last game of the series. At some point, you got to say, okay, they're gonna have like a down-ish type of a night, right? Like a 5-2, 4-2 type of a game. So that's what I'm hoping for here. If we can get that at 8.5, I do think that could be a final play here. But yeah, I like the Braves on the money line. Don't be surprised if they're in the pinned comment again, and don't be surprised if they lose for us again because Miami is obviously playing well, and the Braves stink against lefties, but I just cannot pass up the Braves at -136 right now against a team that I know they're better than. All right, Cincinnati looking to complete the sweep here against the Mets. They take them on here. They've won both games so far, 5-3 and then 3-2 in this series. On the mound for the Mets is going to be Jose Quintana, who he's actually been pitching well. Going up against Brandon Williamson, who I would not say has been pitching well. He's a couple of good starts as of late that were good, but other than that, I really wouldn't give him too many flowers here. Though they have the worst pitcher, I am going to look at Cincinnati yet again. They're underdogs. They have the better offense right now, and they're batting .285 against lefties in their last 10 here. And in their last 5, it looks even better here, averaging 7.6 runs per 9 against lefties. Even though Jose Quintana has been pitching fairly well, he is throwing from the left side. The Reds obviously have the upper hand in this series so far. The only thing, again, that slightly worries me is the sweep factor, which is a fair thing to be concerned with in baseball. Like teams very rare, I shouldn't say very rarely, but it's hard to sweep a Major League Baseball team, right? So if you're looking at the sweep, it's like, this other team probably squeaks out one at least, right? And Cincinnati may not care about it because it's one thing to take 2 of 3 of a series. You feel like it was a success. But if you're the Mets here, you're like, we can't get swept. Like, that sounds like the worst thing in the world. So that's probably the only factor making me second guess this, but seems like a good spot here for +116 on the Reds on the money line. Total sitting at 8.5. We've seen both games so far go under, and I like that again. I think this one's going to be another 5-3 type of game, which is very slightly under, but still an under nonetheless. Cleveland taking on the Rangers here. Texas, we don't know who's pitching for them yet. Let us down yesterday. Gavin Williams on the mound for Cleveland today. And maybe I'm turning into a psycho or some sort of a Texas fanboy, but whatever the odds are, whoever is pitching, I probably look at Texas again. We need this series to be over because I'm just like, Texas is better than Cleveland. Texas is better than Cleveland. They're down 2-0 in this series. Like, who am I kidding, right? Pick up the merch, guys. FadeMe.store. We'll talk about that in a little bit, actually. I have a plug for it. But nonetheless, I am going to lean towards Texas here. I do want to know what the total is at, too, because I could see this being an over type of a game. They were 2-1 yesterday, whereas Texas obviously had been scoring a lot of runs coming into this series, and Cleveland actually was giving you a floor of like 4 or 5 before as well. So I think that this one kind of gets back down, back to the norm, and I think this is probably going to be like a 6-4 type of game, which cashes that over, I'd imagine. So far in this series, we've seen an 8 and a 7.5 in terms of total. So let's hope for a lower number like that, because I do like the over in this spot, but I also like Texas, especially if they're going to be underdogs again. All right, told you we had a merch plug coming up, guys. If you do want to support what we're doing here, pick up some merch over on FadeMe.store, guys. It's the best way to support, and you can't even see it. The screen's not showing right now, is it? Well, anyways, let's go ahead and get rid of that. The merch right here, I got it on FadeMe.store. Apologies for the lack thereof of the slide being ready, but nonetheless, FadeMe.store, guys. You can use code FADE to save 10% off, and if you join our mailing list, we're sending out discounts all the time. So if you head over to the store, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the homepage, or just go to fademe.store/email, put your email in. It's simple as that. I never send you guys spam or anything, but if you do want to support, and I keep getting emails, and not to go off on a rant here, right? I know we already botched the delivery of the store promo, but not to go off on a rant. I keep getting emails from you guys being like, how to support, and I love the show, just found you, like, I want to support you, what's your Cash App and all that. And I keep telling you guys, I go, hey, you don't need to. Like, you tuning in, commenting, liking the video, subscribing, that is enough support that I need. Like, I'm getting my fulfillment of support, right? But my response always is, don't just send me your money. Get something for it. If you want to send me $25, buy a $25 t-shirt. Yes, I don't make $25 on that like I would if you just donated $25, but I want you guys to get something in return. Like, it's not just a handout either, right? It's like, this is a community. It's less of a, hey, thank you for making the videos. It's more of a, hey, thank you for the content you make. I'm going to pick up some merch so that now we have something together, something to share together. Maybe it's corny, but it's not a money thing for me, and it shouldn't be for you either, right? Like, if you enjoy the content, don't feel obligated to buy merch, to send me Cash Apps. Like, that's awesome. And if you want to do that, helps out. Every penny, like, contributes. I put it back into the business, all that. I get it. But don't feel like it's an obligation, right? Like, you don't need to give back. You guys commenting, liking the videos, commenting 14, like you should now if you're watching, 14 in the comments if you're still watching, that's enough. Like, that is enough to help us grow and everything. So, I know I'm all over the place, kind of a rant here, but I just want you guys to know, like, there's no expectation to monetarily support the channel. If you do, that's a huge help. but like just keep tuning in, stay engaged with the audience. I'm sure the support and all that will come at some point. And as we grow and all that, like I'm reading every single comment. Like this stuff means the world to me. So yeah, not to get all sappy about it, but it's enough if you guys just hit that like button on every video. It really is. Let's go ahead and jump into the next game before I start crying. We got Milwaukee taking on Washington. Milwaukee dominating the series so far. They're minus 290 today. They have minus Woodruff. Brandon Woodruff on the mound. He's been looking stellar in his last couple starts, going up against Pittsburgh and then Miami. 7 innings pitched and then 9 innings pitched, 0 earned runs there. Washington pitching Patrick Corbin, who had a decent start against Pittsburgh last time out, but prior to that was just all over the place. They are huge favorites in this one, Milwaukee, at minus 255, minus 290 over on FanDuel Tools, so even more than that. I think I'm just going to stick away from this one because I do think Milwaukee is the better team, but like you're not going to catch me looking at them from a money line perspective like that. And then even on the run line from minus 120, I don't think it's all that worth it. You do have a total sitting at 8 runs. I don't mind that because this Milwaukee offense has been batting really, really well in this series, especially, and they're going up against a pitcher that I do think, they could give him trouble. And this last year, he faced them twice, 5 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, 6 innings pitched, 4 earned runs with 8 and 7 hits, 2 home runs in both outings. So some of the guys that are still on the team have seen him before and have had success against him. So I will take Milwaukee as a slight lean towards money line. Not going to play because of the odds, but I don't mind the over 8 runs right now. All right, I think Houston may be doing this on purpose. So they play the Oakland A's, right? And they lose 2 of 3. And now they're 2 games into this series against Kansas City, and they have lost 2. They probably pull this one out today, but I'm not trusting it. And for those odds, no thank you. They have a tough series coming up against Baltimore as well. I'll take Houston, but don't think that makes it into the final comments. In terms of final plays, total sitting at 9.5. I will continue to look at the over here because this Kansas City offense, weirdly enough, has been scoring a lot of runs. I don't know why or how. I guess, they're just kind of clicking at the end of the year. And Houston, they got to get back to scoring a bunch of runs at some point. Yesterday, they did score 8 runs. We would take that final score in terms of 9.5 over, but it is a high number, but give me the over in it, whatever. Give me some runs in this game. Such a crappy series. Give me the runs. All right, White Sox taking on Minnesota. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid here, but I am going to lean towards the White Sox. They win yesterday 7-6. Now they have Dylan Cease on the mound, who, for whatever reason, I like the guy, okay? He's had a bad year, but I do think he has a talent. I'm going to lean towards the White Sox here just because it is such plus money. Whether or not I have the cojones to make that a final play or not, keep an eye on the pin comment. We shall see. But I also like the under in this spot. It's sitting at 9 right now. We saw 10-2, 10-2, and then 7-6 in these games, and we finally now have a spot in which I can trust both pitchers, even if I'm being crazy trusting Dylan Cease, right? He's pitched fairly well against Minnesota this season. And then same thing for Sonny Gray on the other side. He's got a 1.8 ERA over his last 5, and he's got a 1.3 ERA in his last 3 games against the White Sox dating back to last season. 2 of those this season. And I talked about Dylan Cease against Minnesota, 2 flat ERA against the Minnesota Twins. Those are all in his last 3. Those are all games this season. So I'll take the under in this spot. Again, we're looking at 8.5 on some sportsbooks. So we know on FanDuel right now it's at 9. We're getting some value there. Most sportsbooks at 8. So if you do, most sportsbooks at 8.5. If you do find 9, obviously sportsbooks are starting to move that down. So you might want to jump at the bit. But yeah, give me the White Sox. But I like the under more than anything in this spot. All right, St. Louis taking on the Phillies. I like the Phillies again. Seems like it could be a trap spot. Taijuan Walker pitching for Philadelphia. He has not been pitching all that well, but he's going up against Dakota Hudson, who also has not been pitching all that well. Earlier in the year, the Phillies put up a bunch of runs against the same matchup here against Hudson. 5 2/3, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 5 walks, and a home run let up for him. I think they do it again today. Again, I keep sounding like a broken record here. The only thing that worries me is that this could be a sweep, and it's like, oh, what are we doing? And Philadelphia has the Braves coming up right after this. They're playing them tomorrow at Atlanta. So it could be like, hey, let's just get through this game. Maybe this one that they drop, they don't sweep, and then they have to go face the Braves, who took 3 of 4 against them last time out. But yeah, if this was in a vacuum and I wasn't concerned about all those peripheral details, I'd be like, all right, this is an obvious Phillies spot. there are some details there that scare me a little bit. I'll admit it, but I'm still going with the Phillies on the money line. Total sitting at 9 runs here. I like the under, though both of these pitchers can let up a bunch of runs. I do still think that, because this is the last game of a series, St. Louis is heading back, or they're at home right now. They're staying home playing Milwaukee. Philadelphia's taken off to go play Atlanta. I do think there's a level of, all right, let's just get through this game. So hopefully Philadelphia can win this one like 4-3, 4-2. We can catch the under as well as the money line. San Fran taking on Colorado. 5-2 was the score yesterday. I like it because 2 of these games now have gone under out of the 3 that they've played, and I like the spot again today. Neither pitcher's all that great. Chris Flexen for Colorado, and then you have Sean Manaea on the mound for San Francisco. Give me the under 12. I've seen it at 11.5 on plenty of sportsbooks, so there's a little bit of value there getting it at 12 as well. But I rarely bet these games, and I haven't bet this series yet. But I wish I'd been pulling the trigger on these Colorado unders, but I know the minute I start doing it and putting my money where my mouth is, all of a sudden they're going to skyrocket over. But I'll take the under 12 right now. All right, Angels taking on the Tigers here. I have a feeling the Angels, just like the wind's completely out of their sail. Shohei shut down for the year. Now there's all these trade talks and whatnot, which they have been as well, or signing talks and all that, right? Like that's nothing new. But I have a feeling that they just want the season to be over. So give me Detroit on the money line. We don't have odds for it yet. I did see it at -136 on FanDuel briefly, and then it got stripped down. So if it's anywhere around that, yeah, I like the Cubs. The Cubs. They're not playing. I like the Tigers in this spot. I will say, it doesn't really enthrall me to get into this series here at all, but we know Reed Dietmers is on the mound for the Angels. We're still waiting to know who's pitching for Detroit here, but I'll take the Tigers. I have a feeling that they just have a little bit more bite left in them versus the Angels, who probably just feel like this season is just absolutely over. In terms of a total, it was 7.5 in game number 1 and then 8.5 in game number 2. I guess I like the over because we've seen both of those numbers get crushed so far in this series. Oakland taking on San Diego, and just like last game, San Diego actually has some digestible odds here, sitting at -155. Yes, it's a lot of juice, but they're a better team than this Oakland team. They have Avila on the mound, coming off a really bad start. It was against the Dodgers, so I'm willing to give him a little bit of a break because he'd been pitching well for a couple games before that, going up against Ken Waldichuk, who somehow capitalized right on these last couple of games for the Oakland A's. He's been pitching fairly well. He's got a 1.8 ERA over his last 5, but still, San Diego is the better team. Whether or not we make it a final play, I'm not sure if I can trust the -155 juice for the Padres, but it's not -175. It's not a crazy number, so give me the San Diego in this spot. Total sitting at 9 runs. Just like yesterday, I like the under. I don't think we see San Diego's offense go out there and do what they did in game number 1, which was drop 8 runs. And I think Oakland's going to continue to kind of give you that 2 to 3 runs right now to close out the year. I could see them kind of on cruise control, especially after their Houston series. They're like, hey, we did a really good job, and then forget about playing good baseball after that. Give me the under in this spot as well. All right, we ain't got no lines for this game, but regardless, we're going to be leaning towards the Dodgers because we banned Seattle. And if you're like, that's a stupid reason to bet on sports, just because you banned a team doesn't mean you have to go towards the other way. You're correct, but I'm also right. Like, if I ban a team, they're banned. You know what I mean? So we're leaning towards the Dodgers in this spot. We'll see if you'll see who's on the mound. I don't think either starter has been announced yet. Logan Gilbert has been is like the probable for Seattle, so that's probably going to happen. It is probable, but we have nothing. It's still TBD for the Dodgers, so keep an eye on the pin comment. I could see us pulling the trigger yet again with this. We've capitalized and hit a couple times in this series so far with the Dodgers on the money line. Arizona taking on Chicago. Arizona pulls out another one yesterday. That's a couple underdog wins for them in this series. And remember, they played really well against Chicago just a little while ago. Today on the mound, they have Ryan Nelson, who the guy's been hit or miss lately, okay? He's got 6 earned run games over 4 innings, right? Then all of a sudden he has a 5 2/3, 1 earned run. Like, the guy's a little too inconsistent for me. Jordan Wicks, I'm trusting a little bit in this spot. So I know I've been liking Arizona in these spots. I don't think so today. I think the Cubs have a good spot to win here. The only thing that worries me is that Arizona has been crushing lefties, and Wicks is a lefty. They're batting, I think it was like 280 something. I had it up in front of me a second ago against lefties in their last 10. It drifts off in their last 5, so that's what we're hoping for, right? But yeah, give me the Cubs in this one as well as the under 9. We've seen 2 high-scoring games so far, but I don't think that these offenses are really going to put up double digits again today. So I'll take the under as well as the Cubs on the money line in this spot. And guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you did enjoy, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Go check out all the football videos we have out on the channel. We are pumping out content. Today's Saturday. It's now 6:15 a.m. as we stop recording. So here's Sunday. I'm losing track of days, right? Like it's a grind, but you guys make it worth it. I know I gave that rant towards the middle of the video, right? You guys truly make this all worth it, and it's super fun. And you get me jumping out of bed in the morning, which is dangerous because my legs aren't always ready to work, but it's still fun to do, guys. I don't know how easy it would be. And obviously I say this with a tongue in cheek because we did this for plenty of time when no one was watching, right? Getting up early and doing it. But I don't know how easy it would be to go on vacation and wake up early and do a video with a makeshift setup if I didn't know, thousands of people were going to see it. Like, that's the stuff that motivates me. And I'm sure a lot of creators wouldn't say that, but like, obviously, minor success and all that is motivating. Like, you want more and more, and you guys have put me in a position to continue to grind and work my absolute ass off to continue to grow, make better content. I think we have some of the best production value in the MLB Picks space. I wouldn't say I think, like, I know that's the case. So yeah, not to get another rant. We already saved a little time for a rant in the middle of the video. I want to say thank you guys. You guys are super motivating, and even just one view, one like, one comment, all that stuff does so damn much for this channel. So thank you guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.